I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to control your emotions and take action towards your goals and dreams. And so the first thing that I want to share with you in this video is to remember that one of the most powerful things that you can do to be able to take control of your emotions and as a result take action towards your goals and dreams is to focus on your intention. So I think that if we go throughout our day and we consciously decide on our intention and we just remember this in the back of our mind, in the forefront of our mind, actually, what we actually care about, this is what is going to inevitably help us to control our emotions. And the reason that this is the case is because, although it might sound a little bit cliche, energy does actually flow where attention goes. So if your attention is focused solely on your intention, if your attention is focused on your intention, right? Any sort of emotion that's in the lingering or out of alignment or just not supporting you to get closer to your intention is just going to be sort of transmuted, for lack of a better term, into the intention, right? That's what's going to happen, because anything that you focus on, anything outside of that is just going to turn into that, right? Anything that's not what you're focused on is going to turn into what you're focused on when you focus on it. And so that includes any negative emotion, right? Or any anxiety even, or resistance. Like these types of things can be transmuted into positive energy. And positive, negative, these are all just words, but towards something productive. Positive can be positive, relatively speaking, of course, but positive for you in the sense that the negative emotion will no longer need to be defining your experience. So just remember as you go throughout your day to remember your intention. Remember why you're doing what you're doing, right? It's very easy to go throughout your day and just forget why you're doing what you're doing, but just keep it in the forefront of your mind why you're doing it. Why are you taking the action that you're taking? Why are you doing what you're doing? Are you conscious of your values and what you care about as well? These are things to remember as you go throughout your day. Now, the second thing that I want to share with you in this video, and you don't have to do these things, but I think that they're very powerful and they can be very useful. And so the second thing, once again, that I want to share with you in this video is to remember that, if we want to control our emotions, I found that for me personally, to control my emotions and then as a result take more action towards what it is that I care about and towards my goals and dreams, and how to do that, how to control those emotions, and as a result do more of what I want. The second way to do this is to not let pain of the past define your future. So the pain of the past does not need to define your future. Now, you need to remember, you don't need to do anything, but I would highly suggest, for lack of a better term, you define your future. You define your future. Do not allow the pain of the past to define your future. Don't let your future be seen through a lens of something that's based upon the past. That's a huge problem. If we go through our day and we allow our perception to be skewed through the pain of the past, now I'm not saying that you can't define a better future. I'm not saying that you can't use pain to define a better future and to let your future be defined by pain in that sense, where you take the pain and you decide on something better, because you allow that, you do not allow that pain to define who you prefer to be, right? You don't allow that suffering and the resistance and the negativity to stop you from taking action towards who you want to be. That's really powerful stuff. Now, with that being said, I find that it's very important to just also remember that the pain does not need to define your future whatsoever. And that's just something that we have to remember, right? Because imagine you're walking, so many people walk through their day and they really just believe that they need to see the world in this way, and they're not open to any other belief. They're not open to any other belief. In their world, that's the only world that exists, is that perception and that way that they see the way that they see reality, is just how it is for them. That's just how it is, right? That's just the way that it is. and there's no other way, there's no other possibilities. See, if there's ever an opportunity that was maybe in their experience towards something better that could improve their life, they didn't see that opportunity, unfortunately. And these many people do not see opportunities in their life, unfortunately, because they're allowing their perception to be skewed by the pain of the past. And that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem, to walk through life and you can't see any new possibilities to be something better, and then the pain of the past has just defining everything that you see. Right? Everything that you see is through the pain of the past, based on something that happened 15 years ago or maybe 20 years ago. And we walk through life and we believe that that's just what has to be the case. So that pain of the past does not need to define your future. It doesn't need to define who you're becoming next. Who you're becoming next is up to you. And I do believe it is a huge shame that people walk through life and they can't see any opportunities, anything better, anything that can improve their life. So we need to remember that if we want to be better humans, to improve upon our experience, only if you want that, right? Only if you want to be a better person and to improve upon your experience and to create a better world and to change your belief systems and to consciously craft your intentions and to live life in alignment with what you want, not some unconscious, socially conditioned belief that you don't really resonate with. So that's something to just remember, so that we can go throughout our day and consciously craft our intentions, right? And then that pain of the past can actually be used to be something better, which leads me to the third point in this video, which is to remember that, we don't need to let pain define our past and our future, right? You define your future. But then, so what that means is that we can use pain and we can use discomfort to then push you to shape a better future, right? Let it push you. And I think that people forget that pain and discomfort is actually a necessary part of the journey, so that something can spark, so that you can be better, so that you can have a desire can come about to create something new. That's what it really means to go throughout your day and to create something better, is to have some kind of pain that pushes you to do that to begin with. Right? I think that people forget that pain does in a way define our world. And that might sound contradictory to what I did share a moment ago in this video, but and I'm not trying to play with words here. I do want to make a clear difference. Like, of course, there's a distinction. Don't let the pain of the past define your future. But in a sense, that pain, though, is what we need sometimes to spark a better vision, right? And that's just life. I think that's, in a way, kind of human nature, and it's part of the human existence that we have to experience pain to then have a desire to create a better standard for something more, right? And that's kind of like the beauty of life, but also, the inevitable part of life that can maybe, if seen in the wrong light, can create a suffering in a person's life, because the ego and the mind and that human, very, physical part of you always is just going to want more. And it's just not going to be satisfied with what it has. It's just, you're going to want more. You're going to want to create more. But to some degree, that's a beautiful part of life. And that's just the beautiful part of the human existence, is that anything that's uncomfortable, we can use as a spark to create more comfort around that, to create a fix and solve the problem around that, right? What are the best inventions ever created in human existence? It was based on a problem or some type of pain point that happened where somebody decided to create a vision for something better. That's just really what it is. And then if you have any refinements in a product, usually those refinements happen based on the problems in the previous model or whatever the case is, right? And it's just, we need to remember that that's just life. Life is just about taking the past, the problems of the past, not necessarily forgetting it. You don't forget the problems of the past, but you use it to be something better, to create a better future. The pain of the past doesn't need to define which actions you decide to take on a daily basis. You can still take action, right? You can still be, like, this is what I want people to remember, is that you might be feeling a negative experience coming up from the past, a negative emotion. And like, why does it have to stop you from taking action towards what you want to create? Because the past is still going to be the past, right? The past is not going to change. Whatever happened 5 minutes ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago, that's just going to be the case. It only exists at this point in your memory. Only in your memory is that experience going to exist. And you can recreate that memory and the emotion of the memory. Absolutely. The emotion of the past and the negativity of the past can absolutely be generated in this present moment, even though it did happen, and the body is going to feel that. Your experience is going to be connected to that. Now, you can still take action even if that comes up, and a lot of the times, just taking action can be what we have to do in order to then let that thing go, to let that emotion go. Because the non-action sometimes can be the reason that we're holding on to an emotion. So sometimes the best way that we can control an emotion is just to decide on a better vision and to decide on a better future and to be something more and to create something better and to have and to be excited about what you're creating, to move through your day with intention and to own your desires and to say that, hey, you know what? It's okay to want stuff. It's okay to have desires. You know, if anybody tells you that you can't have your desires, that's just a belief system, and you don't need to believe in that. You can believe in whatever you want to believe in. As long as you're honoring and respecting others, there's no reason you can't believe in whatever it is that you want to believe in to create whatever it is that you want to create. So I think that, you know, again, I want to remove from my vocabulary as much needing to do stuff, because you don't need to do anything, but it's so powerful to move through life, to remember that negative emotions don't need to define the actions that you take. That's, to me, very simple, and we can hear it many times, but I could hear that, you know, 5, 6, 7, 15, 20, 30 times, and then only maybe on the 20th time I'll have a very powerful insight around the concept of just not needing to believe in a negative emotion to define your actions. That's just so powerful. If we don't need to allow negative emotions to define our actions, what that really means is that now you take your power back to be the person that you want to be, right? A negative experience no longer defines who you decide to be. You now have the free will power to decide on your identity and to be that person that you choose. Not that something that somebody chooses for you, or something that you heard somewhere, or maybe something that you believe that you have to kind of do, right? It's like you don't really want to do it, but you know, you believe you have to, and it's like you're not really committed, and you're half in and you're half out of that, you know, situation or the task or that whatever it is, right? You're just half in, right? But then why are you half in? Because you haven't chose that you want that, right? If you were to choose your identity, you would be 100%. I really I want to make that so clear, is that what I want to make so clear is that if you choose who you want to be, wouldn't you be 100% invested into that future? Now, if we believe that we have to do something based on some kind of belief, that we think we have to be some type of way and that we can't be who we really want to be, well then, that's when the resentment and the anger towards yourself can start to build, because you're not moving and taking action and moving forward towards something better that you can be, to create something more, a better future for yourself. That's a serious problem. That's a problem when you know that you can be something better, yet you choose not to. But if you know that you can be something better, will you still make that choice? Because I think that many people walk through life and that they just don't think that they have a choice. They think that things are just the way that they are. And I'm here to tell you in an explicit and very specific way that I don't think things are just the way that they are at all, and that you can in fact craft things perhaps in a much more powerful way than maybe you or we or I, all of us, have ever been taught before. And that we can create a better future every single day consciously, and do that in a way that honors us and everybody else as well, but we just are able to fully own that in a way where now that pain of the past doesn't need to define who we are. And we can make those choices by ourselves again and not allow external circumstances to make those choices for us. And so with that, I conclude